You're listening to They Shoot Films with Ken Mercer and FT Kosempa.
Hey there, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of They Shoot Films. My name is Ken Mercer, and I'm joined here, as always, with the great FT Kosempa. FT, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, Ken. I'm ready for the ride. How's it going with you?
To quote Brian Dennehy, it's been a very long day.
Brian Dennehy?
Yes, what? the actor Brian Dennehy.
Yes, of course.
To quote him, it's been a very long day.
Memorable quote from what work?
There's a story here, if you'll indulge me. Years ago, I used Brian Dennehy as a voiceover for a project we were doing, and the project he had one sentence to deliver in voiceover, and booked one of the best studios in New York City, best microphone, best engineers. I think I was on a ISDN line from the other side of the country. Somebody else, client was on somebody else, and he had one sentence to do, and the engineer slated it as Brian Dennehy, take one, and he said his sentence, and then said, "I hope that's it, because this has been a very long day." One take.
Nice. It's exhausting.
Yeah.
I can relate.
Yeah.
It's a long podcast already.
Yeah, well, it's all happening. It's all happening because we are here to discuss the Cameron Crowe film from the year 1999 or 2000.
2000.
The 2000 Cameron Crowe film, written and directed by Cameron Crowe, Almost Famous. We're here to talk about that one today, and you might ask her, we'll let FT ask because he gets paid to ask the questions. You may ask why we're choosing to do that film now.
You know, that's a good question. I was wondering, why are we choosing to do that film at all? And
because you said you wanted to do it, remember?
No.
Because we decided to do it because Cameron Crowe's long-awaited memoir came out last month. The memoir is called The Uncool. After a speech that Lester Bangs in real life gave to a young Cameron Crowe, and of course ends up in the movie about we are not cool. You are not. I've met you. You are not cool. So, FT, have you read the memoir yet?
I have not. Have you?
I have, and I listened to it as an audio book, and it's fantastic. I would recommend it to anyone who's a fan of Almost Famous, anyone who's a fan of Cameron Crowe, anybody who's a fan of journalism, anyone who's a fan of the uncool. I would definitely recommend the book.
I'm a fan of being a fan.
Well, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that because, of course, this film is a lot about fandom.
Yes.
But did you ask me what I thought of the book yet?
I have not.
I don't think I think you asked me if I read it, which is what I asked you. I asked you if you read it.
Right,
you said no. Have you read it? So ask a question that I have not asked you yet. How about that? How about you ask me if I liked the book?
Wait, which one's first? Have you read it?
Yeah, well, you already asked me that. I answered that.
I have.
So
all
move
right.
on.
Did you like it?
Yes,
you already said you liked it quite a bit, I think.
No, I recommended it to others, but I did not comment.
Without saying it's any good. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
It's a fantastic memoir, but what's truly fantastic, if you're a fan of Almost Famous, as I am, is you learn how much of Almost Famous was actually from real experience. I mean, I always knew it was loosely based on Cameron Crowe's life as a young journalist for Rolling Stone, but it's like amazing how much of the movie actually just came right out of his real experiences, and it definitely proves the old adage, doesn't it, FT?
Yes, that old adage.
Which adage?
The one you're referring to.
The one I was going to refer to is truth is stranger than fiction.
I wasn't surprised at all that this is closely based It's interesting that you thought it was loosely based. It felt so detailed that I felt it was just the names were changed to protect the lawsuits.
Yeah,
But,
and even not changed, because I think Penny Lane is her real name from real life.
Right.
Yeah, and so it was I felt like the details Cameron Crowe could very readily supply the details. But even dialogue, the dialogue from the Lester Bangs dialogue, as played by the great Philip Seymour Hoffman, so much of that dialogue actually came from conversations that Lester Bangs had with the young Cameron Crowe.
How about that?
Yeah, and also just some of the plot points. I guess we'll jump to the ending right at the beginning. So the ending of this film, or leading up to the ending, of course, he finally. So sorry. In real life, what band in real life do you think Almost Famous was based on? FT.
I have no idea.
Okay, and so with that, we should set up a. Something for the audience, which is that. Did you say a booth?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. The audience can have a booth, but if you're driving, don't get in your booth. But we should have a disclaimer, I think, on this podcast, which is that FT is not has never been a rock pop music listener. He's a classical music snob, as I call him. He doesn't refer to he refers to himself as a classical music listener, not as a classical music snob.
As a listener.
And so I want to come back. Remind me, FT.
Yes.
After we discuss the ending, so we don't get too far off topic, I want to just get back to how surprising it is that this is a movie that you liked, given that you're not a rock music fan. So I want to come back to that.
Can I just clarify? Let me clarify one thing. I am not as much of a rock music fan. Back in 1973, I had more interest in it. That's for sure. During the time period in which this film takes place.
Yes. Sorry, I was actually trying.
You're trying to make a point here.
No, I was trying to make you look good, because remember the question that spurred this was, what band is it based on? And you had no idea.
I could guess.
Okay, good. Guess.
Led Zeppelin, or Allman Brothers.
Okay, boom, ding, 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 ding. Yes, so very, very much based on the Allman Brothers. Although, side note, it was kind of a blend of Allman Brothers and Glenn Frey and Don Henley from the Eagles in terms of the Russell Hammond character. But anyway, the Allman Brothers was the band that a young 16-year-old Cameron Crowe was on the road with, just like this movie had a young William Miller on the road. Yes. with Stillwater. And in real life, just like in the movie, Cameron Crowe could not get the key interview. He had to go home. He was a high school student, and he had permission from his parents to go away for 4 days, and he was getting this great story. But what he did not have was the interview with the lead guy, Greg Allman. And Greg Allman kept saying to Cameron Crowe, just like William in the movie, we'll get it in Topeka, we'll get it here. And so he kept staying on the road. Now, in real life, and again, getting to the ending of this movie, what happened, setting up the final scene is after finally getting the story and getting this great interview and transmitting it to Rolling Stone magazine by Mojo, Russell denies the whole story to the fact checker, completely humiliating a young William Miller. Now, again, we're talking about how the book, how much of this came out of real life. So in real life, Cameron Crowe could not get that interview with Greg Allman. And then finally, at the end of the tour in San Francisco, in a hotel room, he gets a Greg Allman interview. And first of all, the band, just like Stillwater, remember at the beginning, is like, we don't talk to journalists. We hate journalists.
Right.
Allman Brothers hated Rolling Stone because they had always panned their albums.
Right.
So he finally, a 16-year-old Cameron Crowe in a hotel room, gets Greg Allman to open up for from midnight to 6 a.m.
Wow.
And just kind of spill everything about the death of his brother Dwayne, and just this incredible interview. And Cameron goes back to his hotel room that he's sharing with the photographer, Neil Preston. Can't believe it. Has all like 10 cassette tapes with this interview. He's got the whole story. And then the phone rings and Neil Preston answers it and gives it to Cameron Crowe, says it's Gregg Allman and he wants to talk to you. And it was just a bad feeling from the get-go. And Gregg Allman says, you got to come up here right now and bring all your tapes.
No way.
Yeah,
no.
And Cameron Crowe, he just has the worst feeling, and he goes up there, and Gregg Allman says, "Let me see your ID." And Cameron Crowe gives him his ID and says, "You're 16 fucking years old? What the fuck? You're a narc." And Cameron Crowe says his eyes are just like, he had been snorting coke the whole interview. Course, yeah. Cameron Crowe never took drugs, as his mother admonished him not to do.
Yeah, that's right.
And so Gregg Allman is, high as a kite and says, and believes that his dead brother Dwayne is sitting in the chair in the room and points to the chair and says, "My brother says you're a narc."
Huh.
And Cameron Crowe just, he's sweating, he's freaking, it's fucking scary as hell. And Dwayne Allman says, he takes the tapes. Gregg Allman says, "Give me the," thanks, FT. Yeah. It says, "Give me the tapes," which are in a brown paper bag.
No.
And then writes up a contract saying all these tapes are the sole property of Gregg Allman and makes Cameron Crowe sign it.
Huh.
And so Cameron Crowe goes back to his hotel room just crushed and has to call Rolling Stone and say,
didn't get it.
He can't get the story after they've paid for him to be on the road for, months and months, and is just completely defeated and goes back home to San Diego. And who does he see at the airport?
Dwayne Allman. No, Gregg Allman.
No, his sister. Who's a stewardess.
Oh, right.
Who's a stewardess. So,
as the stewardess. Oh, yeah. So that's real. Oh, my God.
Sorry, how we got here, FT. I said, this book, the memoir, it's like, it's unbelievable how much is real. And you're like, well, the detail, it's not just the details, it's the story beats.
Right.
So in the real life story, his career is humiliated, and it was supposed to be the cover of Rolling Stone, just like in the movie. And then I think like a few days later, maybe a week later, Cameron Crowe's at some friends. Somehow he gets a call from the manager of the Allman Brothers, and he says, "Hey, weird thing, Gregg's here, and he found this bag of cassette tapes, and he thinks they're yours. He doesn't know how he got them."
Get out of here.
Yeah, he had totally forgotten or was pretending that he had forgotten the whole thing and gave the tapes back to him, and the story eventually ran, just like the story eventually runs in the movie Almost Famous.
Wow. That's a good one.
Well, that's just, again, one taste of how much, again, it's truth being stranger than fiction. Obviously in the movie, he changed it slightly to Penny Lane setting Russell to come and show up, which I like that change from real life quite a bit.
Question, was there was no airplane scene in real life? With the airplane.
Yeah, no, I think that is an invention, and I have to say, I was listening to it on an audiobook, and had a lot going. There were times I was listening to the audiobook, and I was on a plane, and I was passing out for parts of it. It was coming and going, which, by the way, is what I really like about audiobooks for me, because as a reader, I'm a very close reader. If I'm looking at punctuation, if I miss something, I go back. And what's great about audiobooks, if you can get into the headspace to just let it flow by and not go back, you can get through books a lot faster. Have no comprehension whatsoever, but you can get through them. But sorry, before we got into that, I'd ask you to remind me, FT, to come back to a point that I don't want to lose. What was that point?
How much, according to you, I do not like rock music.
Right.
Which is which is true.
So I found it pretty amazing, and I really, again, I'm a big fan of Almost Famous, a movie about fandom. But I was pleasantly surprised that it was a movie that you liked when you viewed it, and interesting, since again you're not a rock music aficionado. It would be like me watching a movie about, Bruckner writing a symphony. I don't know if I'd really be so into it.
I don't think I would be into it either, Bruckner writing a symphony.
Yes.
You mean rewriting it like 1,000 times, which is actually would be interesting,
Yes.
Which version is you're listening to?
And the drama, I think, of the Bruckner movie is the Bruckner movie that I would not enjoy, and I'm saying it right up front, is him struggling with what to title his next symphony. What can I call this one?
Well, that's interesting because the first two are called 0, 0, and 0.
Really?
Yeah, the adolescent work. Yeah, they published them and recorded them. There's 0, 0, and 0, and then number 1.
Right. How many did he actually write in his lifetime?
That would be like 11, I think. 9 plus those two. Yeah. Even though the 9th that wasn't finished, he couldn't do the last movement, which I think was He had a choral work in mind instead, and then he just died. Te Deum. Which is an interesting piece.
Anything? Do you want to talk about? Did you find it surprising that you liked this movie in spite of the rock music milieu, FT, or should we move on?
No, I do want to talk just a little bit. I was surprised also because, it was a good story. It's a coming of age. It's a Bildungsroman, and all that. But it was unusual because he's a journalist, and it did inform it somewhat that it was based on Cameron Crowe's life. So you're dealing with a bit of reality here, not fiction. The hump I had to get over was that, at the time it seemed there's parts of it that seemed to me like a sort of juvenile jamboree versus, what was going on in 1973. I had issues sometimes with the lack of politics at the time. It was a very political time, 73. The Vietnam War ends. We're in the middle of Watergate with Nixon, the first oil embargo. Obviously I looked all this up, but that was like what was bugging me at one point when I was watching. I'm like, the only mention of like the political stuff, which is a big period, it was a big time of a political period, 1973 in the United States. But as escapist, as I called it, instead of a pursuit of justice, it's a jamboree. As an escapist film, I think it really holds together. Minimal corn where it could be maximum corn. For that kind of story.
And I want to talk. I want to break all those down. They're all things I wanted to talk about as we move forward. But I think that was a good table setter. But we're going to get into all those things. But first, I have a question for you.
Yes.
What is a Bildungsroman?
A Bildungsroman is the German Bilden means formation, education. And roman is a French word for novel usually, but it's really based on the word romance. So it's what romance meant back in the 13th, 14th century was any sort of prose story that wasn't written in Latin. If it was written in the vernacular.
All right. So why did you call Almost Famous a Bildungsroman?
Bildungsroman, because it is a story of a young person's education.
Got it.
Here, and maturity. Because we do see him go, and I'm excluding the 11-year-old period. I'm talking about when we pick up William as a 15-year-old, budding journalist with the, and it is a classic story, like Catcher in the Rye, like Portrait of the Artist of a Young Man, Jane Eyre, the classic examples of development, education, the upbringing.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, so we're going to come back to a lot of those issues, but first have to set up a few things for this podcast. One, would like everybody to be aware that the version that FT and I viewed in preparation for this podcast is what's known as the bootleg cut, which is Cameron Crowe's director cut, which added about 39 minutes to the film. FT, did you have a chance to go back? Did you ever look at the theatrical cut? I think you've only watched the bootleg cut. Is that correct?
No.
Okay.
That's really, It's interesting that you brought that up. The first one I watched earlier in the week was the theatrical cut.
Okay, wow.
And I got to tell you something. I had problems with it.
You had problems with what?
With the theatrical cut.
Okay, which was a 2-hour theatrical version. Okay, keep going.
Right. And then I had some issues with the bootleg version, but I found it generally it have filled in certain blanks.
Yes. Okay.
There were some abrupt transitions in the theatrical release that, but then it got a little overblown. I would have picked the middle version.
Right.
There was a few.
But if you were speaking to our audience, our massive audience out there, and you were going to advise them which they can only watch one version or buy one version. Which would you recommend, the bootleg version or the theatrical?
Bootleg for sure.
All right,
for sure.
So, so we've been watching that one for this podcast. So if we happen to mention something, you're like, wait, I don't remember that from the film.
Right.
It could be because you've only seen the theatrical version. FT, should we just start out briefly before we dive in to the film directly with the origin story of Almost Famous?
Sure. Yes.
Okay. What enthusiasm! I love it. So again, like the film, Cameron Crowe skipped 3 grades.
Wow.
He skipped kindergarten and 2 grades in elementary school, so he was very much 3 or 4 years younger than his classmates.
Ken, did you ever skip a grade?
Well, I was born almost the last day of the year. My parents put me in school early, so I was already kind of a full year behind, and then I graduated from high school early. Don't ask me how. So I was about 16 when I graduated from high school. I don't know. I think usually how old are people when they graduate from high school?
17, 18. I was I was a little bit younger too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Anyhow, so he skipped 3 grades. No shit. Jesus. Yeah. Wow. Smart kid, huh?
Well, smart, and again, he had the character of the mother in Almost Famous is very closely based on Crowe's own mother, Alice Crowe.
Alice
Crowe, who was pushing the grade skipping.
Come on, you guys. It's no big deal. I'm 12. She skipped me a grade.
I also put you in first grade when you were 5, and I never told you.
So I'm how old?
You're 11, so you skipped 5th grade. There's too much padding in the grades. I taught elementary school.
11!
Honey, I know you were expecting puberty, but you're just gonna have to shine it on for a little while.
Who needs a crowd? Who put such a high premium on being typical? You're unique. Follow your dream.
And so he started writing for a local paper when he was 13, doing music reviews. And then at 15, started writing for Cream magazine because he had met Lester Bangs, just like in the movie. 16, 15, he started writing for Rolling Stone. 16, he's on the road with the Rolling Stone, Allman Brothers, like it is in this film. And his career as a rock journalist came to a very early end. I think maybe when he was 16 or 17 years old. And I guess we should set this up now. It's hard to believe, but at 16, he was like the guy. Rolling Stone then was a magazine, who had a lot of great journalists. Obviously Hunter S. Thompson, but a lot of great writers, and Cameron Crowe was like the guy. Had tons of cover stories. Did a huge interview cover story with David Bowie, who had never never, just like Stillwater, hated Rolling Stone. So he was the guy, and had not even graduated high school yet. And then the world changed. FT, how did the world change?
What happened? Yeah.
It was punk rock, the Sex Pistols, and music changed, and musicians no longer like the Sex Pistols. You didn't really have to know how to play instruments anymore. And there was another writer at Rolling Stone who was covering the Sex, and he was basically getting all of the assignments that would have gone to Cameron Crowe, and his career just disappeared. When he was like 16 or 17 years old.
No kidding, huh? Was there any coverage of hip hop at the time, which was budding also? Not really. Really, hip hop. What year did hip hop start coming in? Because this Some
would have been.
People were saying like it was like early. Like there's examples. Of course now it's like I forget. I saw something a long time ago. Anyhow.
Yeah, because this would have been late 70s, Frank. I don't think there was.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But so punk rock.
Yeah. So his career at I think age 17 or 18 was over, and he didn't know what to do. And then he had the brilliant idea of kind of the new taking the new journalism idea of Hunter Thompson or Tom Wolfe to I think a nice extreme. Do you remember what he decided to do, FT?
I do not. I don't remember because I never knew.
Yeah, so he decided. I think he was about 20 or 21 that he would go back to high school undercover. He would be undercover and be kind of an embedded journalist in a high school in Southern California.
Nice.
And he wrote a book about that experience called Fast Times at Ridgemont High, a nonfiction book that ended up getting optioned by a movie studio. And you want to guess who the first director that Fast Times at Ridgemont High, the book was offered to, what director it was put out to, FT?
John Hughes.
Great point. So no, it was not John Hughes, but the runaway success of Fast Times at Ridgemont High basically gave birth to the whole teen movie genre that John Hughes was the king of. And Cameron Crowe had an office on the lot. I forget what studio he was at, maybe Universal. And after the success of Fast Time at Ridgemont High, he still had a deal as a screenwriter at the studio, and John Hughes came in and got the office above his and banged out all his teen comedies, which wouldn't have been possible because nobody thought kind of Fast Times at Ridgemont High snuck through. The producer, a very famous producer, has done great things. Art Linson was the producer and kind of snuck it through the studio. Nobody paid attention to it, and then it became a runaway success. And then the studio, it was Universal. And then Sid Sheinberg held a meeting and said, "We've got to do more movies, these teen movies. We've got to do more of these." Yeah. Wow. Anyway, you've studiously avoided the question I asked you, which is, no, you answered it incorrectly. You said John Hughes. The question was, what director was Fast Times at Ridgemont High offered to? I'll answer my own question.
Please.
David Lynch.
Shut up.
Seriously.
Shut up. Get out of here.
Yeah, no,
I was going to say Marty as a joke. But
no, David Lynch and Cameron Crowe got to meet with him. And it's in the memoir, and it's great to hear Cameron Crowe talk about it on the audiobook because he does a David Lynch impression, and just as like Lynch sat there, and he had to meet him at Bob's Big Boy, of course, as our listeners know if they listen to episode 1 about David Lynch. They met at Bob's Big Boy, and David Lynch was like, "I don't know if this is really right for me."
Kind of movie, right? Wow.
So it went to a young woman named Amy Heckerling to direct. She allowed Crowe to be on the set the whole time, so he got a huge education in filmmaking. And then he went on. He wrote other scripts, and then he got to direct his first film as a writer-director. What was the name of that film, FT?
I don't know. Was that Say Anything? Is that one?
Perfect.
No. Singles.
Perfect. It was Say Anything.
Did he do Singles though?
Yeah,
he wrote
that was a second film.
That was a second film.
Yeah.
Huh. I thought Say Anything was so much better than Singles.
Sorry, you blew my whole Abbott and Costello thing there. Because, I was going to say, what movie did he direct? And normally you'd say, I don't know. And I was going to say, Say Anything, FT, Say Anything.
Oh, shit. I blew it. Say Anything. Singles.
And then after Singles, and I forget, after Say Anything, he wrote and directed a little film called Jerry Maguire, which was a huge hit, got nominated for a lot of Oscars, won some Oscars. And at that point, he realized now was the time he could do anything he wanted, or could try to do anything he wanted. And he had an idea that he'd been kicking around for years that he felt could never be made because it was too personal. Right. And that was a film about his experiences on the road as a young journalist. And he pitched it to... DreamWorks ended up buying it. Steven Spielberg said, Steven Spielberg saw the script and just said, "Shoot every word," which was pretty incredible because the shooting script was 165 pages.
Wow.
Which is why he was able to make this 2 hour and 40 minutes director's cut that we saw.
They shot quite a bit of it. Interesting.
Yeah. No, it was again, that time in the movie business. There was a lot of money around. He had 7 months of shooting on Almost Famous. Yeah. And what happened was Patrick Fugit, who plays William Miller, he started out. I'm not making this up. It sounds like a joke. They started filming, and he was 4 inches shorter than Billy Crudup. But by the time they filmed the Topeka party scene, I'm a Golden God.
Yes.
Patrick Fugit was 4 inches taller. Was taller than Billy Crudup, and so in the Topeka scene, they had to put Billy Crudup on an apple box just when he was next to in the 2 shots with Patrick Fugit. Yeah.
Huh. I did notice a change in him, though. I did.
Oh yeah, no,
that's interesting. Yeah, he changes, which I thought worked for the film. I mean, in a way, development, maturity.
Yeah, well, I also thought the Topeka party scene. I didn't know about this. Every time I've watched the film, and of course, credit to Billy Crudup for his physical work. After when he's after jumping in the pool, when the tour manager comes back to get him, he seems shrunken. He seems to have shrunk compared to the way, and it wasn't, I'm sure Crudup did some physical work where he did appear smaller, but also Patrick Fugit is bigger.
It was interesting because what shocked me there was when the manager picks him up and carries him, or gets him almost, picks him up there, and then right. Wow.
Yeah.
Wacky scene. Well,
so the movie was finished and was released, and how did it do at the box office, FT?
Poorly.
Yeah,
did it?
Yeah. Oh, you didn't? Okay. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. I was just joking.
It bombed. And guess what movie? Guess what movie? The weekend it was released. Guess what movie came in number 1? Blew it out of the water.
I don't know what 2000.
Yep.
I forget. I don't know.
It was a theatrical re-release of The Exorcist.
Shit.
Yeah. Which interestingly enough,
came out in 73, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. Which is what's so crazy. That movie came out in 73 when this movie was set. So, crazy little coincidence there.
How about that?
Why don't we dive into? I want to pick up on some of the things you touched on when you talked about why you like the film, and come back to FT. What do you think this film is about?
Yeah, I pretty much said what I needed to say. Maybe you'll stimulate something else. Go ahead.
Well, I think it's I think it's interesting because, and again, this film would never get made today. Or if it did get made, it would be a independent little thing that Netflix was paying for or something, rather than this huge production shot by John Toll. Real practical locations all over the country. But because you can't really pitch, it's kind of a lot of things. I mean, the one thing I'll say, if you put a gun to my head, which please don't.
Do not.
You've already done that a few times over the past month, so please don't do it again.
What the hell are you talking about?
You know what I'm talking. You know perfectly well what I'm talking about.
You know.
So the first thing I'll say, it's a love story. It follows the structure. Let me ask you, FT, what is the structure? What is the formula, the structure for a love story?
I don't know.
Well,
boy meets girl.
Well, yeah,
period of rejection.
Right. It's the structure of a love story is what will keep them apart. And if you look at any love story, starting with Romeo and Juliet, it's always they meet, they fall, and what keeps them apart. In Romeo and Juliet, it's their families. In this, it's rock and roll. It's Russell, but it definitely and clearly no doubts about it. He says it as the plane is about to crash. He loves Penny Lane. So it's a love story, but it's a love story. Go ahead.
Between Russell and Penny Lane, that's what you're saying. That's
between William and
Penny Lane.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, he says it. You're unclear.
Okay. Right. Sorry.
You didn't nominate.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for clarifying. And no, I'm serious. And so, but it's also a love story about music, and
yes.
And we talked about how a very young Cameron Crowe lost his career to music, and the music business changed. So it's a look back at this golden time in music, and a time where music mattered to him. So it's a love story to music. But you had said something, used the fancy word of Bildungsroman. I think it's definitely a coming-of-age story, no question about it, right?
Yes,
absolutely. You pointed that out. But it's... I think there's a quote, again, I think it's about nostalgia and this lost time and how the music business changed. There's a quote from Sapphire. Do you know the Sapphire character in this film, FT?
I forget who that is. No, who's that?
She's one of the band aids, played by Firuza Balk. Yeah.
Firuza, yeah, that's her. Yeah.
The scene after William, is back home in defeat, and the tour is wrapping up, and they're in the green room, and she's taking food, and she sits down to Russell, and she's talking about these new girls.
Hey, Russell. How you doing? Can you believe these new girls? None of them use birth control, and they eat all the steak. I mean, they don't even know what it is to be a fan. To truly love some silly little piece of music or some band so much that it hurts.
And I think Cameron Crowe has talked about that scene encapsulate what he thinks this movie is about.
Yeah, pretty much, right?
Yeah. But also, it's also a family. It's a film about a family. So again, it's a family drama. The split between Frances McDormand and the sister, and the split, the difficulties with Frances McDormand, the mother character, kind of losing the child, that she's really holding on tight to because she's already lost. Yeah. Biographical note, which is left out of this, in the real Crowe household, again, that sister basically follows what happened with his sister, but there was another sister who had committed suicide or overdosed on drugs.
Oh, Jesus.
And when he was very young, and that kind of, as you would expect, shattered the family. The mother always kept the dead sister's chair at the table.
Wow.
And then the older, the other sister broke away, just like in the movie, and became a stewardess, and so the mother was really clinging tight to a young Cameron.
That's odd because I felt that that would have helped me a little bit in the story, because I felt that the Franny McDermott's the business, don't do drugs,
right,
just felt neurotic. It felt
the Alice Crowe was.
No, I understand that, but I said it lacked motivation. It just seemed like she was nuts. Overdoing it a little bit. It felt over the toppy.
Yes.
Now, hearing this biographical detail, it makes total frickin' sense. It makes total sense.
Yes.
Fecking sense.
Thanks, FT, because again, this is a family podcast, so thank you.
She said feck. What's the difference between feck and what she said?
The letter U.
Yeah.
Yes. Good one.
Talking about this, though, FT, would you say this is a happy movie or a sad movie?
I love your questions. It's happy and sad.
Yeah.
I mean, it's bittersweet.
Which sorry, it sounds like a stupid question, but most movies that you will see, the great movies do capture because life is obviously bitter and sweet. Yes. Most movies that you go to see, though, are either kind of one or the other, or action or something like that. And Cameron Crowe has talked about Again, he comes to filmmaking as a fan. He never went to film school.
Right.
He talks about his film school was he did a book on Billy Wilder.
Billy Wilder, yeah.
He had a book where he just interviewed Billy Wilder for a long period of time and did a book. He said that was his film school. Talking to Billy Wilder, and that's a pretty good film school. But he talked about how he considers the great films the ones that are bittersweet. Wilder was able to do that in a lot of his films.
Sure was.
You can look at The Apartment for a good example of bitter and sweet comedy and tragedy. But also he's informed by music. The music he likes is bitter and sweet. So when his sister leaves and says, "Go look under the bed," and he pulls out that bag of vinyl records. What's the first record that comes off the pile? Do you remember?
I don't know. I don't remember.
It's the Beach Boys' Pet Sounds, which again is a record where there's a lot of goofy, like Sloop John B, but then songs like God Only Knows that
classic
are on a whole other so again, but again, this happy, sad.
Is Good Vibrations on that?
I think it is.
I think it is too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was a difficult project for those guys, from what I remember. Right?
Yeah. Well, I think
it's like a sort of like a let's save the day kind of album, because there was so much work being done during that.
Well, I think Brian was losing it at that point. Brian.
Yes, Wilson
in the studio. Brian Wilson was in the studio while the band was on the road. There were a lot of. There's a really good film if you're into music. About Brian Wilson. I think it's called Love and Happiness, or no, that's an Al Green song. Love and Something. Love and Something. You'll find it's about Brian Wilson. It was done by a movie producer who directed it, but I think he did a great job. The production design is fantastic. The recreation of the studios, I definitely like it. It's with John Cusack playing Brian Wilson.
Huh.
John Cusack, the star of Say Anything. We tie it all together here at They Shoot Films.
Yes.
But I think there are very few good music movies.
Yes.
There are very few rock movies. It always feels false. I consider this movie, and you touched on it in your opening statement. I consider this movie to be a movie, kind of a miracle, in that there are so many ways this movie could have gone bad, and there are so many scenes in the movie where I'm watching it like, oh fuck, this is gonna go too saccharine, and it always skates. To me, it always skates the edge, and manages to hang on and bring itself back.
Yes.
Your thoughts?
Most of the time, yes. And we were talking about the bootleg version, the longer one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that has even more chances to go wrong, since there's 40 more minutes of things to go wrong.
Right, and remember, what I was saying before was I would have cut a few things. There should be a boot version or a leg version, get rid of that ice making machine scene, between Russell and Penny Lane. Get rid of that.
Well, I think it should be gotten rid of, because I don't even remember. What's the ice making machine scene?
When he follows her. I need some ice, and then they're in the room where the ice machine is in the hotel.
Right.
And it's so much more elegant in the theatrical version when William is following her with her eyes.
I noticed that.
And it just cuts to the little window. It cuts that whole discursive bullshit out. It was a terrible scene.
Yes. Yeah. No, I'm with you on that, FT. It is such a great shot, that slit window where you just see her coat and you cut to William's crushed face and seeing Penny in there.
It's crushed ice.
But I think one of the reasons this film works is, for me, as a rock aficionado, the concert scenes they played, and that's what usually happens. You get actors playing, fake playing guitars or singing. It doesn't work, and I think a lot of the credit goes to they put the actors, and again, these were young unknown actors who said, "Okay, sign me up." They went to rock school with Peter Frampton and Cameron Crowe's girlfriend at the time, or maybe wife at the time, Nancy Wilson from Heart, and they learned how to play music and really do these songs. So
was that them performing? Was Stillwater them?
A good question. I think it. Excellent question, FT, and you've caught me. I think it was. We'd have to look at the soundtrack credits.
I did. I looked at the end. They said the vocals.
Yeah. I don't think they were actually playing, because I've heard interviews with Crudup where, but he was playing in the shots. He, instead of just putting his hands on a neck, and he actually knew, he was taught how to play guitar and learn the songs. So it felt real. Right.
It did feel real. They were really well done. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's always a tough thing in these kind of any music, biopic, or the music scenes are always like, oh boy, but they were good songs too. I liked, the songs.
Yeah. Why don't we start stepping through the film, hopefully in chronological order, and let's start with the first scene. Not the first scene. Let's jump ahead to the first scene where William meets Penny Lane. And again, we were talking about Billy Wilder and his influence. This scene, you remember, he goes to the Black Sabbath concert to do the story that Lester Bangs has assigned him, and he gets to meet Penny Lane. How would Billy Wilder have or Ernst Lubitsch have characterized this meeting?
I think you told me this the last time.
Yes, I did.
A meet, greet, sweet meat.
It's called Lubitsch called it a meet, MEET, cute, and it's been argued. I think Lubitsch, who was a German emigre, it might have been like a malapropism. He might have been trying to say something else from German, but it's become known as a meet cute. And he said it while Lubitsch and Billy Wilder were working together on the script for Bluebeard's Eighth Wife. And there's a very famous meet cute in that film, FT. Do you remember it with Gary Cooper?
Don't. No.
Yeah, so in Bluebeard's Eighth Wife, which Lubitsch and Wilder had worked together in the screenplay, Gary Cooper comes into a department store looking to buy just a pajama top. And Claudette Colbert comes in looking just to buy a pajama bottom.
Huh.
And that's how they meet.
What's the last word? Cute? C-U-T-E?
Yes. Yeah, meet cute.
Jesus, like M-O-S without sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in this FT, what is the meet cute? How does what brings Penny Lane and William Miller together in their meet cute? What drives them together?
I don't know. I mean, I don't see it as a meet cute.
Oh yeah. So he shows up for this concert, and the doorman won't let him in. Keeps throwing him out and says, "Hey, go to the top of the ramp with the other girls." And that's what brings them together. But let's move on to another scene on a ramp. Jumping ahead, the scene where Russell Hammond gets electrocuted and the band leaves and blows the gate. Can you identify the concert promoter, FT, the actor playing the concert promoter?
I cannot.
Okay, so glad we brought it up. That is Marc Maron, of the comedian and the host of
Seriously?
A famous, that's Marc Maron, and that's how the WTF podcast begins. It starts with in the film he says lock the gates, and that's how WTF starts.
How about that?
Yeah,
good one.
I think he does a good job in this film. Let's jump to the deflowering scene, where a young William loses his virginity to the Band-Aids, unfortunately, sans, as the French say, Penny Lane, the real object, the person he really wants to lose his virginity to. Your thoughts on that scene, FT?
None.
Really?
Yeah. Honestly.
So how did it compare to your loss of virginity?
It's very different. It wasn't quite as communal. It was not at all. How about yours? How did it compare to your loss of virginity, Ken?
Almost identical.
Identical to it.
Yeah, except not in a hotel room, in a dorm room at college.
It was?
Yeah.
Wow. How many women's were there?
I was at college, but I was not a math student, so I could not count high enough. No. So I think what's interesting about that scene, again, we've talked many times on this podcast already about the memoir and what was real or what was not, was that deflowering scene by three girls from real life, Cameron Crowe's real life. Do you think, FT?
What do I think?
Yeah.
Well, interesting. I mean, they did. I didn't understand.
Sorry, do you think that really happened to Cameron Crowe? Yes or no?
Oh, is that your question? You didn't.
Yes, that is my question.
I think it did.
You do.
Well, yeah, I have a funny feeling it did because he was so awkward in filming it. I mean, he doesn't really show anything. It's a weird. Right. It's one of the weakest scenes in many ways, although it communicates a lot.
Well, it is weak, except for, I think, first of all, yes, that was from real life, what actually happened to a young Cameron Crowe. And what Cameron Crowe talks about, which I sense from this, is the look that Kate Hudson gives to Russell as she leaves the room. I feel has a real emotional juice to it.
Of course.
And Cameron Crowe says when he was filming that, he said that she just nailed exactly the feeling of that he had as a young boy as Penny Lane left the room.
Meaning his true love is watching on and she's not going to participate.
Yeah, or she's leaving.
Right.
She set it up.
Right,
and
she's going to leave to go to see Russell. Yeah.
Which, is an interesting parallel to the ending of the film where, and Russell and Russell Hammond says it.
So this is where the enemy sleeps. I think we both wanted to be with her. And she wanted us to be together.
So just like she arranges for the Band-Aids to deflower William, she pushes Russell and William to.
There's a technical issue there. I think she allowed it to happen because I think it was Anna Paquin, that woman that says,
yes.
let's deflower
Yes.
or Farouz or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyhow, but minor detail. But you asked me to make sure that, we're on top of it, the details.
Yes, and I appreciate that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Why don't we jump to the Topeka party scene as made famous in the HBO sitcom Entourage? You remember the homage in Entourage?
No.
There's one of the episodes where they basically.
It's weird because I was like, it obviously connected because I'm like, this seems really familiar.
Yeah. No, and it is. It's Vinny Chase on drug. Basically, they kind of pay homage to the whole thing. I think Vinny Chase meets up with his movie Bombs. So these fans are like, "Hey, want to come to a party?" And he gets up on the roof and does the whole "I'm a golden god" thing. There's a nice bit of screenwriting for me in that scene though, where Russell's on the roof and says. My last words
to Rolling Stone. Right.
What's that? I want my last words to be, "I'm on drugs," and William says, "Russell, I think we should work on those last words."
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
But what follows unless do you have any further notes on the Topeka? So what follows the Topeka party scene is what could and by all rights should have been. The scene that did not work and blows up the whole movie, which is Russell getting back on the bus and the whole cast singing together Elton John's Tiny Dancer. I have my own thoughts on that, and I feel like he did pull off that scene. But I'm curious about you, FT, because I know in Paul Thomas Anderson's film Magnolia, you had a big allergy to the cast singing Amy Mann's "Wise Up."
Terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
So how did you deal with this communal singing?
It surprised me because I was really worried as an intern. Total corn.
Yes.
And it was corny, but it worked because you know why? It had realism to it. I felt that that's something that could have happened. The whole point being they're saying we're fans. We love the music so much as you quoted later that it hurts. These people know the lyrics of every song. They love this stuff, and it worked for me. It was really, I think, a sweet scene.
And that's what's so amazing for you with your aversion to corniness, with your aversion to group singing, that it worked for you. And for me, again, that's the scene where you look at it and it keeps feeling like, oh fuck, this is gonna just fall off the edge into being too triacally sweet. Is that how you pronounce it? Triacally?
I hope so.
Yeah. And it's saved. And to me, the MVP, the guy who saves it is Billy Crudup, because of course the punchline to that scene is when Crudup joins in as singing, and his look, well, picture it this way.
He's coming off of acid, right? He's
LSD. Picture not Billy Crudup. Picture Jim Carrey playing Russell Hammond instead of, and just bursting into, the chorus to Tiny Dancer with a big smile on his face. But instead, Crudup, he's got that 1,000-yard stare while he's singing
That was
What?
That was unfair to Jim Carrey.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, no, you're right.
That he would bounce it. That he would bounce the cable guy. Sorry.
Yeah,
that's right. Wide-eyed. How about Mickey Rooney?
Yeah. No. I mean, Crudup is. We'll talk about it.
It's incredible.
Crudup does great work in this, as he so
ridiculous.
often does.
The best. Yes.
But really, another actor in that shot, joining in, it could have gone off the edge.
Yes.
But Crudup, and again, wardrobe, John Toll's lighting is fantastic. But he looks so so it's not, again, we talked about bittersweet. He's not like, yeah, I'm back with the band and I'm going to sing. It's like,
no.
The forlornness, the wet, it works. And it's, I think, a miracle that it works.
It's a bonding moment too, right? So the band does get back together again with a common cause. I mean,
yes,
rock music, absolutely, and it ends in the famous line, I got to get home,
Right. So let's talk about that and really talk about the whole scene. So in the shooting script, all 165 pages, this is like this whole scene we're talking about is 3 lines. The lines you just referenced are not in the script; they were improvised. And what happened? Cameron Crowe starts shooting this scene in the bus. The script says, and they, Russell gets back on. They sing "Tiny Dancer." Cameron Crowe basically gets the vision for the scene, I guess, that is in the film. He really wants to blow it out and says he wants to spend 2 days shooting it. I think it was maybe a day or a half a day to shoot it. And he got the 2 days or stole the 2 days.
Wow.
And said, well, I'll skip something else. Somebody got 2 days just to shoot that Tiny Dancer scene. The powerful thing is, you've got the Tiny Dancer, the lighting's so fantastic. And then William with Penny Lane saying, I have to go home. And she, does the brilliant thing with her hands and says, you are home. Which I think drives home something we didn't talk about when we said, what kind of movie is it? It's also, the great genre of found families.
Found family, your theme. Yeah.
As seen in Boogie Nights, this found family. Just so, again, it could have been heinous, and it really was genius as it played out.
That's funny because people talk about the Tiny Dancer. I don't know the song, I don't know Ellen John. I always thought it was a terrible scene where she's dancing around on the floor.
Oh, interesting.
From the long shot. So that's the name of the song. Oh, okay, good.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, and it's interesting you bring that up because Cameron Crowe's favorite scene is Kate Hudson dancing around.
No way.
In the concert hall after the concert. You see, he says it basically encapsulates what the movie was about to him, which was the remembering of the music after it's over. So
that's a hard image. That's a specific image you get through, and it didn't work for me.
Well, but part of the issue, FT, is it might be so in the theatrical cut.
Sure.
That scene, a shot of her is short, and because he loved it so much, he really hangs on it in the uncut or the bootleg edition. And I think he even says something on the commentary. He's like, I could watch that for hours, and I think you clearly can't.
Well, one of the problems is cinematic. I mean, the cutting in that is horrible for me. It's close, it's far, it's really far, then it's in between. She's all of a sudden jump cutting to sitting down. I mean, if he really wanted to have that, it should be a nice, long, beautiful, craning out or something.
Right.
I would have done something way different. It just, it didn't work for me.
I would have strapped I would have strapped a steady cam on a dude and just had him run around.
You would have. On a dude. Lebowski show up, That's a good idea. Cross-genre.
Let's jump ahead to the Max's
We're jumping, yes.
We're jumping.
Slide. Let's slide
Okay,
ahead.
let's slide into the Max's Kansas City scene. Your thoughts, FT?
The Max's Kansas City scene. Right. I was shocked about how it looked so new and, the sign.
Right.
Have
you ever gone? Did you ever go to Max's?
No, I've never went to Max's. No, Mud Club, CBGB's, It was never at, Max's Kansas City.
24 hours ago, I want to be sedated.
What's that?
You just said you went to CBGB's in the Mud. That was the Ramones song. I want to be sedated, which if you were going to the Mud Club in CBGB's, you would have been listening to the Ramones. Therefore, I know you're full of shit when you said you went to CBGB's in the Mud Club.
Oh, no.
You were trying to act cool. And I know you have to. Believe me, you are not cool.
CBGB's I was in, like John Cale, buddy, television.
Yet you've never heard the Ramones, I Want to Be Sedated.
No, I never heard. I didn't like the Ramones that much,
Okay.
I wasn't trying to be cool. I mean, those are places where, that was the time.
Trust me, you are not cool.
Right, which is good. No, I am cool.
Oh, man. You made friends with them. See, friendship is the booze they feed you. They want you to get drunk and feeling like you belong.
Well, it was fun.
Because they make you feel cool. And hey, I met you. You are not cool.
I know. Even when I thought I was, I knew I wasn't.
Because we are uncool. Now, while women will always be a problem for guys like us, most of the great art in the world is about that very problem. Good-looking people, they got no spine. Their art never lasts. And they get the girls, but we're smarter.
Yeah, I can really see that now.
Yeah, because great art is about guilt and longing and, love disguises sex and sex disguises love. Hey, let's face it. You got a big head start.
I'm glad you were home.
I'm always home. I'm uncool.
Me too.
You're doing great. The only true currency in this bankrupt world is what you share with someone else when you're uncool.
All right, let's go to that. Let's talk about the Max's Kansas City scene, which was my question to you, FT.
Yeah, what do you want to talk about it? It was.
Do you have anything to say?
Yeah. Well, no, no, really. Okay. It was so embarrassing. It was so difficult that it worked. It was a well-directed scene, well-acted scene.
Yes.
Good script points, where they both go, she's with me,
right.
and all that business,
Yes.
Yes. It was,
again, I just keep coming back to Kate Hudson's performance in this, very young Kate Hudson's performance in this film. Crudup, Patrick Fugit in this scene, but especially, again, Kate Hudson. When they come over, when the guy comes, says you got to get out of here, and again the tears in her eyes.
Yeah.
I get the sense with her, Kate Hudson, that she's just the kind of actress you want, the actor you want, that just the emotions are
there, just
right there and available.
Yeah.
I don't feel like she's forcing a cry or a tear. I feel like she's really.
No, it
feels real, and it becomes more real following that scene after the suicide scene. But let's jump to the suicide scenes, shall we?
I want a question right before. Okay. When he's running in by all the cabs?
Yes.
When William's running, trying to find her, because he's going to go to the plaza.
Yes.
Who's in the cab? Is that Oliver Stone?
No, it's Jan Wenner. It's Jan Wenner.
I don't know who that is. Okay.
He's the publisher of Rolling Stone. He's in the movie as the publisher, but he was the famous publisher of Rolling Stone.
Okay. Yeah. I
so that's the real Jan Wenner in the cabs. Those New York City scenes again. John told and I don't want to dive too deep into the cinematography, but again, that's another way these rock movies, nostalgia movies go wrong, is the cinematography. And I would have been concerned having John Toll shoot it, because he's known for doing big Hollywood directors.
You mean big canvases, big films?
Yeah, but just the light. He makes movie. Yeah. You go to the cinema, you see a movie, not necessarily realism. Bigger than life.
Okay.
Big pictures, but I think. And it's interesting because this movie does feel like this. Remember, we used to have a test at Film Symposium West for it was the Lumet Anderson scale of how much realism a film had. This film, to me, does not play as real. It doesn't feel documentary realism at all. It feels like a Hollywood film. yet it somehow works. I love when a film is beautiful. So it's beautiful, it's nostalgic, and even though it doesn't play totally realistically, it works. But those scenes in New York City, you mentioned the cab scene, they look great. They remind me of the opening scene in Breakfast at Tiffany's. New York in the early morning light. Interesting too, because I used to, I don't know if you remember, FT, I used to live around the corner, around the corner from the Gramercy Park Hotel.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. That's interesting. That I found it to be pretty realistic and beautifully realistic. Like a great frame, great Kodachrome slide is realistic and beautiful. It's just, I don't have that thing about all documentaries have to look like shit. They don't. Les Planck's work doesn't look like shit sometimes. Herzog stuff doesn't look like crap sometimes,
So anyway. As we've talked about on this podcast, suicide, as they say in mass, suicide is painless. Let's talk about this suicide scene where Penny Lane, after being thrown out of Max's Kansas City, goes back to the Plaza Hotel and takes a bottle of Quaaludes. First question for you, FT. Yes. Is this scene an homage? And if so, what is it an homage to?
I don't know. What are you homaging? What are you imagining the homaging?
No, it's clearly an homage to a Billy Wilder film called The Apartment, where Mrs. Kubelik commits suicide in Jack Lemmon's apartment, and they get the doctor, same thing. Doctor come in, let's pump her stomach.
Oh, right.
So
right.
It's a pretty on the nose but great tribute to Billy Wilder in The Apartment.
Good point. I think I've only seen The Apartment once. I find it a really ugly film, but anyhow. Yeah.
I thought you might comment on the great intercutting during the suicide scene, which I found very effective. And you typically like
the dancing around.
No, he intercuts between her throwing up in the bathroom and his graduation scene, which he missed, with his mother there and the band playing "Color My World."
Right.
I thought that was very effective for me.
Yeah, I mean, it implied that's the same moment, but you don't have to. Right. It was like the two events in life. It's the way cinema works, right? You're right. That's a good point. I should have really observed that, because there it made a point that is couldn't be made in the same era as easily in a book. That this is this person's where he should have been in many ways according to our culture, and this is where he is. It was great. It was how cinema works.
Yeah,
right?
to me that the intercutting between those two scenes, William watching a woman that he loves committing suicide.
Well, saving a woman.
Yeah, his high school graduation, to me, is the essence of Bildens Roman.
No, it's not, but...
No, it is. It's literally pointing out,
Oh, you mean it's compression? It's compressed.
His growing up, his maturity,
right.
That instead of being in high school, he's learning about women that he loves committing suicide.
Well, right. It's a passage. It's a different passage. One's a passage of like ceremony, and this is a passage of existence, of experience, that he was saving someone's life versus, a ceremonial, what do you call it, moving forward,
Yes.
As a graduation, right? Yeah.
After that scene, there's a scene where the roadies poker game, Penny Lane gets sold off for $50 in a case of beer. Question: did that really happen?
Yes.
Really? You think that really happened?
Yes.
Okay, you're correct. Yes. So that really happened. And made a big impression on Cameron Crowe. It ends up in this movie. So after that happened, there's a scene in Central Park between William and Penny Lane, where Penny Lane's saying, you don't understand, William.
You should be happy for me. You don't know what he says to me in private. Maybe it is love, as much as it can be for somebody.
Who sold you to Humble Pie for $50 in a case of beer? I was there. I was there.
What kind of beer?
What kind of beer was it?
Yeah, what kind of beer was it?
And it wasn't in Central Park. You had the scenes confused. That was after the suicide in Central Park. But, it was...
Oh, right. They're kind of outside. They're at some concert, outdoor concert, right.
Right.
Thanks, FT.
Yeah. And it's one of the weakest parts of William's acting, the character. it felt really, ooh, I was like,
well, he has Patrick Fugit has a go-to, which he gets shouty, he's like, you think and he does it multiple times in the film. This one manner he has a go-to, which I guess is his trademark.
Yeah, but it's also like, yeah, you're right. It's like, it felt representational. It didn't feel like generated.
Sorry, he goes there again on the airplane where he lets in. He said, I loved her and I love her.
You don't understand, right? Yeah,
right, yeah. So he has that go-to mannerism. But again, her performance there,
ridiculous.
Again, fantastic. When she delivers that line, "What kind of beer?"
It shocked me.
It's heartbreaking.
It shocked me. Yeah, it did. It was good.
Yeah,
I mean that's exactly the kind of detail that raised this movie up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It did for me.
And again, it was a little bit lucky, according to what. So the night before they shot that scene had been Billy Crudup's last day on the show, and I think Jason Lee's last day on the show. So they all went out drinking, and she said it wound up at 4 a.m. and she's like, "Fuck it, I'll just go to the set." And so she did that scene on no sleep. Yeah, and again, she started feeling like it was, and I think it does definitely help her. But she showed up, and the wardrobe person saw her show up and said, "Holy shit! Don't let Cameron see you. We got to get you dressed. We got to get you changed. I don't want him to see you." And unfortunately, her room they were staying at the Plaza Hotel, the cast, and apparently her room was right next to Cameron Crowe's room. And the wardrobe person's trying to get Kate Hudson back to her room, and then Cameron Crowe's door opens, and he comes out, and he looks at Kate Hudson and shakes his head and says, "Rock and roll."
Perfect.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, it was perfect. Is that when she reveals her name? Yes. Yeah. Penny Lane reveals, during the Central Park scene, rather.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's when she reveals her real name, which I'm not going to, we don't know spoilers there.
So FT, we've got a lot of comments. And by the way, if you're listening and you want to get comments to us, you can go to our website at theyshootfilms.com. You can leave a comment. There's a microphone you can press on and leave a voicemail. We got a lot of comments on our Vertigo podcasts where we got into kind of a no holds barred argument about did Scotty, the Jimmy Stewart character, get his objective, and we had a disagreement there. It got tense, and I'm going to pose the same question here and see how it gets tense. Does William get his goal in this picture?
Yes and no.
Yeah, so it's perfect. Right. Absolutely. It's definitely a yes and no. So I agree. This time I didn't disagree with you, because remember we talked about the indistinguishably fused so
that you could distinguish
tragedy and let's break it down. What goals did let's start with goals. Go ahead.
The obvious. He doesn't fall in love with the woman, but he.
What you mean? He doesn't get the girl.
He doesn't get the woman. I mean, the young woman, right?
So what does he get? What does he get?
Well, but you tell me. It's obvious. I mean, what is this?
Okay. Well, it's not obvious to me.
It is obvious to you. He gets the story finally. Jesus Christ.
Right.
You know what I mean? He gets the story with Russell, and matter of fact, he gets the sort of male bonding, with that sympathetic, character. He's torn. I mean, he loves these guys, as he says. I'm friends. I mean, he's getting some of the what do you call it? The reflected glory of Russell.
Right.
And so he does get that, and he gets the story, and he gets vindication, and all that. So professional.
Was there any other goal that you?
I don't know. Which one do you have in mind?
Well, I think his goal. He achieved the goal after having that rolling. After Russell fucks him and he goes home in defeat. again, his goal, and I think in the movie it's there, but it's subtextual. But his need to try to reunite and bring his family together, his sister and his mother, he achieves that goal at the end by bringing her back home and pushing her to, and they reconcile.
Good point.
At the end of the movie.
Because she says, when his sister says, let's go on an adventure, and then it cuts to, I can't believe this is your adventure, bringing her home.
Yep.
Right.
Good. Right.
Yeah. Thanks.
You're welcome. What was your favorite performance in this film, Almost Famous, FT? Because we got to get wrapping up here.
Yeah, Billy Crudup, without a doubt. But they're all so good. And it's a tie between, as you've been saying all along, Billy Crudup and Kate Hudson. You know, they're both incredible. They are both so fresh. They're both amazing.
Yes.
That's all I got to say.
But it's an unfair contest because Billy Crudup had done a lot of work. He'd been a stage actor at this point. Kate Hudson was new to all this, and is kind of the shining star here. I think a couple other performances though do. Oh, yeah. Again, it's a great cast, but a couple of other performances are surprising. Jason Lee, to me, this is his best. Can you think of anything where Jason Lee has been better than this part as Jeff Beebe in Almost Famous, FT?
I cannot. Well, I don't know his work that well, though, either. Okay. But, this is excellent. Yeah, he was great.
Yeah. But the other surprise for me, I like to, if somebody, I'll call it as I see it. I slammed Jim Carrey, and I'll apologize for that. But I am not a fan of Jimmy Fallon because I feel he tends to go he always tends to go too far, and especially on the Tonight Show. I just can't watch the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon because he always just hams it up way too much. But I thought he was fantastic in this film. Your thoughts, FT?
He was good, yeah. Yeah, he's from Saugerties. He's just from my neck of the woods here.
Oh, really? Oh, right. Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Yep. Saugerties, New York. Saugerties, not Socrates.
Right.
Which I first thought it was like, they named it after, it was Athens or Athens, Cairo or Cairo. And anyhow, I thought it was Socrates. Plato, New York. Yeah.
What's your favorite line from Almost Famous, FT?
It's a weird line.
Okay, let's hear it.
And I really thought about this. Lester Bangs.
Okay.
Which I had problems with. Detroit sucks. Fuck off. Detroit's the home of MC5, so you can go, whatever. The Doors suck.
I think that's ironic. And by the way, Lester Bangs, that's a real shirt that Lester Bangs used to wear. There's photographs of Lester Bangs in the Detroit Sucks shirt. He might have been from Detroit.
He might have been. You know where Troy,
but
Michigan
also, go ahead. I want to continue what I was about to say.
No, go ahead. No, you said it. Yeah.
Okay. But the other T-shirt story in this film is in the film, Lester Bangs at the radio station interview is wearing a Guess Who T-shirt, and that's actually Cameron Crowe's real Guess Who T-shirt from back in the day. But anyway, you were going to talk about Troy.
Cameron Crowe owned it. You mean he owned it?
Yeah. What were you going to say about Troy, Michigan?
No, it's a suburb of Detroit, northern suburb of Detroit.
Yes.
Anyhow. Yeah, and then the whole Doors business. Anyhow. But here's a line, which I found interesting, and it was the negative side of this whole film. Lester Bangs, the day rock and roll ceases to be dumb is a day that it ceases to be real, and then it just becomes an industry of cool.
Right.
And then he goes on, which is interesting, right? But the whole cool, uncool.
Yeah.
Then he goes on. For what passes for rock and roll these days, silence is more compelling. Of which, as we know, it was published by John Cage in 1952. Silence. But anyhow, it's a joke.
That was a joke. Sorry.
It's a composition called 4 minutes 33 seconds, where the pianist, performer sits at the piano and doesn't do anything. And the silence is the composition, and it was published as a piece of music.
And so,
but anyhow,
so that was what we call in the comedy business a John Cage joke, correct?
Cage the joke.
Okay.
When you got to say, the only thing you failed in there, you're supposed to go, "That's funny." Instead of laughing, you go, "That's funny."
No, I wouldn't. It was.
Yes,
it was.
I'll do it to
really
myself.
And truly a knee slapper, FT. We got to wrap up. Do you have anything to ask me?
Yes. What's your favorite line, Ken? I was just ready to, man.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I think
You're welcome.
It was hard picking. It was tough to pick, but
there's a lot of good ones.
There was one that stuck, that I loved the first time I saw the film, and it's stuck with me ever since. And that is Jimmy Fallon playing the manager Dennis Hope when he says, "If you think Mick Jagger will still be out there trying to be a rock star at age 50, then you are sadly, sadly mistaken."
With respect.
With respect. Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And speaking of respect, FT, respect to you. I think
RESPECT.
we got to call this one because we got to let people get to sleep. And we got to get to sleep. But FT, feel free to call me anytime I stay up late.
And we'll play some soul music. Which is really, really missing from this film, I felt, by the way. Anyhow, yes. I'll call you.
All right, buddy.
Late for dinner.
So have a good one. And to everybody listening out there, thank you for listening and always listening to They Shoot Films. Make sure you're subscribed if you haven't done it yet. That way you'll get every episode as soon as they come out. And we're going to say goodnight. Take it easy there, FT.
I'll take it the way it comes, man. Being the Nietzschean. You too, buddy.
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll.
They Shoot Films is a production of Film Symposium West. Produced by Anne-Marie De Palma. Studio announcer Roy Blumenfeld.